Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is joining. We are just waiting a few more minutes to allow some folks from across the world to join. We're going to get started in about 3 or 4 minutes at 5 past the hour. So thank you all for joining. Just please hang tight and we'll get started shortly. All right. Hello, everybody. Again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to wherever everyone is in the world. Thank you very much for joining us. We're excited to have everyone online with us. We have a great webinar lined up for today, but first of all, just welcome everyone to the African Agribusiness, the Future Today webinar series. Today's webinar is going to be focusing on the agri-SME trade and business opportunities in the global value chain. So thank you all for joining. The webinar series is an exciting webinar series which is designed specifically for agri-SME entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs, which focuses on entrepreneurship, innovation, and education throughout agribusiness. Just a couple of housekeeping items for the webinar. Just please ensure that you are muted and your cameras are off during the presentations. We will utilize the chat box to the side of your screen, where please, throughout the presentations, please feel free to utilize. Throw in some questions or comments. We'll be sure to highlight those at the end. We will be having a Q&A session for about 20 minutes at the end of the webinar. So we'll be sure to try and highlight all the questions that come through. So please feel free to throw in any questions or comments in the chat box, and we'll take note of those and circle back to them. We hope you do enjoy the discussions today. We have three folks on the panel. We're going to be kicking off with Henny van der Merwe. We'll be following that up with Ms. Evelyn Musioka, and then also with Ms. Margaret Asekenya. I'm going to go ahead and get started and give the introductions for all three. The first panelist today is Henny van der Merwe. Henny is the CEO at Agribusiness Development Corporation. This is based in Stellenbosch, South Africa. Henny is an experienced agribusiness entrepreneur. He is a senior engineer holding a degree in agricultural engineering from the University of Pretoria. Henny has over 30 years of engineering and business experience across Africa and the globe, working in diverse fields from agricultural mechanization and crop processing to business, project, and market development. Henny has an excellent knowledge of agribusiness in Africa and the structuring and operating of cross-border operations. And Henny was also responsible for the development of numerous unique business and technical solutions in the broader African agribusiness environment. Henny is an in-depth, knowledgeable person on local agriculture, irrigation, agro-processing equipment sectors, and personal and ongoing contact with a wide spectrum of manufacturers and distributors, locally and abroad. Henny is a visionary thinker, can initiate change and mobilize people and resources for a common goal all around the world. So we look forward to Henny kicking things off for us. After Henny, we'll be moving over to Ms. Evelyn Musioka. Evelyn is an experienced professional agricultural sector with a focus in smallholder market segments, currently working in the customer market organization at Bayer Crop Science, leading development and execution of the African cluster. Previously, Evelyn held a position in the commercial operations lead legacy, Monsanto, responsible for overseeing Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, row crop and crop protection business. Prior to this, she worked as the commercial operations manager at Bolton CP's Amira Kenya Limited, leading various small initiatives focusing on vegetable seeds business cutting across the region. Evelyn holds leadership roles in various regional trade organizations and associations. Evelyn is also currently an executive board member at the Seed Trade Association of Kenya, called STAC, a member organization of the seed value chain. She has served on various committees within the Africa Seed Trade Association and is also a member of the Kenya Seed Regulation Committee. Following Evelyn, we'll be shifting over to Margaret Asekenya. Margaret is currently head of agriculture at Absa Bank Uganda Limited. Margaret works with Absa Bank Limited as the head of agriculture. She has worked for Absa Bank for the last 3 years and has over 10 years of experience in previous roles with other financial institutions under the agricultural financing sector. Margaret certainly possesses a wealth of skills and experience in agriculture and rural financing, credit risk and management. So we certainly look forward to hearing from her. We're going to send it over back to Henny to take over. If Henny can switch on your camera, and we can certainly get started with the presentations, and we'll lead off with Henny. So Henny, thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to your presentation and we look forward to hearing what you have to say. And again, if any questions or any comments, please feel free to put those into the chat box on the side. We'll take note of those and we'll be sure to circle back to those at the end of the webinar.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you for the kind introduction and flattering words. Can you all hear me well? The presentation should be on your screens now. But firstly, good afternoon to everyone from wet and cool Stellenbosch, just outside Cape Town in South Africa. It's a pleasure and privilege to join you on this very exciting subject. Also from my side, thank you for AFAP and specifically for Sandra Pires for initiating and reaching out to us to partner with AFAP on the subject of African agribusiness future today. In my presentation, I'm going to focus specifically on the theme growing more agripreneurs in Africa and talk about a subject that is very dear to us, that relates directly to the development of farmers, entrepreneurs, business people in the African market, and that is technology, and specifically technology relating to equipment. But yes, also good afternoon to Henry and Justy and Scott and some of our other colleagues from the ADC Africa group that I see joining us today. Just a quick word on who we are. I represent two organizations. The Agribusiness Development Corporation is an African agribusiness project development facilitation company that's been involved in project development across the board in mostly commercial agribusiness, most probably in 20 plus countries across the continent, as business facilitator, project manager. We also have in the group about 60 companies under the banner of the ADC Africa group, specialists in various aspects of agribusiness and equipment and inputs that form the backbone of the expertise that we bring to the African market. Our vision is and purpose is to connect opportunities in the African market to expertise in South Africa and further afield to develop agribusiness as a driver of economic development, job creation, and entrepreneurship that we are talking about today. We're also owners of the Agri for Africa web portal. The web address is on the screen if you want to see more about what we do and also read about technology and expertise. You're welcome to go to our website, agriforafrica.com. Good. As ADC, we render the services listed there based on our background in agriculture engineering, running through turnkey project development, scoping studies, and all the services that I've listed there. You'll also find information on the website about what we've done, some of the projects we're involved in. But I'm not going to dwell there. I want to get to where we want to be today, and that is talking about appropriate technology solutions for Africa, which sort of leads into where we want to go with the series and get some of our partners and specialists to give you more information and unpack the opportunities that I'm going to be sharing with you this afternoon. So I'm just going to touch on some of these, give you some ideas, give you some examples. It's really a visual presentation where we are sharing a lot of pictures and some video clips about the opportunities I'm going to be sharing this afternoon. But you'll have to sit tight because we have to work through close on 30 slides to cover the fields that I've listed there. It's crop production, water and irrigation, livestock production, and agro-processing. So without further ado, let's start with the crop production field. I think what we are saying about appropriate technology solutions is can bring not only smiles all round, it can really change the fortune of farmers and agribusiness entrepreneurs in Africa if you have the right technology. And I think what we are saying is there's a lot of appropriate technology available from South Africa that's been tested and that is really appropriate to the market in Africa, from very small scale hand equipment to some more sophisticated devices. And you will see much of that in my presentation just now. So we're starting with tools for soil preparation and cultivation, and as you see there are tools available from very basic hand equipment through animal production or animal draft equipment on the right-hand side, which is still very prevalent in the African market and is often a good next step to increase areas, and then two-wheel tractors and rototillers going on the next level to four-wheel tractors and all the implements associated with that. Typically, you would start by hand at an area less than half a hectare that you could cultivate in a season. When you go to animal draft, you'd most probably be able to cover a hectare or two. When you go to rototillers and two-wheel tractors, you'll most probably be able to stretch to 8 or 10 hectares. And if you go to full mechanization based on tractor systems, you'll be doing from 10 hectares upwards to 1,000 hectares. So that's basically on the cultivation and soil preparation side, a subject that is critical to the success of farming is the way in which you plant. And this specific subject, I think, can make a major difference, and specifically the technologies that we are sharing with you here, to where small-scale and subsistence farmers are often planting by hand with very little attention to spacing and depth, where the next level up would typically be the type of planters that we are showing there, push-pull planters. Some of this developed by Micris, Janse van Vieren of Backsaver, that you can see in the center there, with the president of Zambia handing over a jab planter, which is a simple first level. Then you will go up to that type of planter, or the push planter that allows you to place seed and fertilizer in a precision fashion. And then you can go up to the right-hand side, where we've got a no-till planter behind a tractor that can plant into fairly rough no-till conditions. We've also touched on, in the center there, transplanting device that assists you to transplant without breaking your back. But the experience in Africa is that by just using a simple planter like this, that would retail most probably for less than $500, you can increase your yields most probably with 50 to 100 to 300% by just the use of proper planting devices. We're going to show you a quick video of one of the more recent developments by Micris, and that's a motorized planter. It's basically that hand planter, just with an engine on, and would most probably increase your ability to, very easily planting 10 hectares. You'll see in the picture there the metering device. Very simple, very basic, very robust device that is already making big inroads in the Zambian market. Fertilizer application is the next step, and that's obviously close to the heart of AFAP and close to the heart of the main business of AFAP, and that is to increase not only the use of fertilizer, but the efficient use of fertilizer. And I've heard a lot about fertilizer and the importance and the need for fertilizer, not so much said about the need for appropriate placing and devices to assist the farmer to place fertilizer efficiently. On the left, you've got the Mayfield bag and tank applicators working under gravity. In the center, you've got the Backsaver wheel applicator with a wheel drive for precision applicator. You can see there the rows of fertilizer being applied. You can see there a jab type fertilizer applicator. It's a single dose applicator that can apply single doses of fertilizer quite accurately to individual plants. You can put it on top of the soil or below. In the bottom here, we've got a sprayer, a knapsack sprayer attached to a boom, a very nifty device to increase your ability to cover much larger areas of pest control with the sprayer. It's a push type sprayer. So on that subject, we're going to show you a quick video on how the wheel applicator works of Backsaver, where you can see it gives you a steady stream of fertilizer next to your maize as top dressing, which is critical in higher growth rainfall areas. Next up is talking about a little bit about harvesting and harvesting technology, also critical for the increase of efficiency from hand harvesting and hand deshelling to providing devices from very basic shellers to motorized shellers to on the right hand side here engine-driven threshers that can take off the leaves as well, and even a trailed combine harvester that was developed in South Africa as a next level up. If you're going to be using tractors, you have this device that comes at a fraction of the price of a self-propelled combine harvester. We've got a little bit on mechanization of cassava. It's a cassava lifter that was developed by Professor Bobby at the Institute of Ag Engineering in Silverton, Pretoria, but he hails from Ghana, and I think it's being used in Ghana to reduce the hardship of trying to lift cassava, specifically in harder soil, by hand. And then here in the middle, we've got something on potato mechanization and potato harvesting, specifically a subject that is very well covered by South African agricultural technology, all manufactured in South Africa. Other mechanization, just an example of mechanization coming to us from Italy, from our partner there, Irrigation, that has developed a multi-purpose tractor appropriately called the Buffalo, to assist with harvesting and transport operations in difficult conditions. Specifically here in this video, you'll see a little bit about how it is used in oil palm plantations to transport the bunches. I don't think our video is working, but anyway, we'll jump that and go to the next slide. But there is a video, and it will be in our presentation when we circulate it. It just shows the buffalo in operation. Good, very important, very critical part of intensification and upgrading in the African market, also risk mitigation, is the subject of water and irrigation. I think there's no question about the need for much more irrigation and much more focus on irrigation to offset the risk of drought and also climate change. Some of the examples that we've got here includes a very nifty hand pump called the Flexi pump that works on the principle of a bicycle pump that was developed by David Hutton, an engineer from the UK, but it was built and is built in Cape Town in South Africa. Very basic device that can lift water up to 8 meters from a well or a stream, and then pump it up another couple of meters and distribute it in excess of 100 meters through a life pipe that you can see there. We'll show you a short video on that just now. Revolutionary hand pump developed in Cape Town by Jooste Cylinder and Pump here at the bottom, and we hope to take on the pumps from India at most probably a better price, and also on robustness and durability, give them a run for their money. On the right-hand side here, you've got something that we regard as very appropriate technology for irrigating larger areas, both of cash crops and of pasture crops. It's a real irrigator, a very basic water-driven device, simple device, able to irrigate anything from 1 hectare to 50 or 100 hectares, depending on the size. There are various models available on the traveling irrigator, but a device that I think is totally underutilized. We've recently sent, or the company Rotrix has sent, upwards of 150 of those units to Tanzania for irrigating sugarcane. So it's a great success story. I think it's still a fairly underutilized technology, but something that certainly going forward, I would like to see much more of those being used to intensify the use of irrigation and water. Just quickly then, the flexi pump, pumping from a stream here, or a pond or a dam, a mud dam. See the lady pumping very slowly there, and the Livestock pump going up the hill to where the water is being discharged on the other side. There you can see the distance, you can see the height is most probably in excess of 3 meters difference there. And you can see the stream of water coming out. It can be used to fill buckets, it can be filled to filling a tank, and can be used to for direct irrigation. Still on that subject, windmill technology with the associated boreal cylinders manufactured in South Africa in stainless steel, a unique development that is now spreading worldwide, even in America. But the world wind technology is still very appropriate to areas where wind is available. A simple technology that's been in use in South Africa for more than 100 years. With that, just a picture of the quick coupling irrigation pipes, which can be in aluminium or in galvanized steel, manufactured in South Africa. Motor pumps that many countries in Africa use extensively. I've just been to Sudan, and there are thousands of those working on the bank of the Nile, just lifting water a couple of meters into the flood irrigation furrows. Something that has caught on quite rapidly and is very strongly supported by development funders in Africa is the whole question of solar pumping and its financing and down payment systems, but a lot of that work being done in Kenya. But it is technology that will increase in uptake and will assist with water pumping and irrigation going forward. This is just a mesh tank, which is also available from one of our partners, easy and cheap water storage solution. Something that many of you might be familiar with, but it's really changed the ability to efficiently irrigate vegetables specifically, but small scale is the Netafim family drip system. There are various other versions available, but it's a system that was designed as an irrigation package in a box to irrigate anything from 250 square meters to multiples of that. And it comes complete with all the pipes and fittings, can be combined with a tank, and it can be combined with a flexi pump to provide a turnkey irrigation solution specifically for high value crops and vegetables specifically. Something that is making a very big difference because of the affordability and the fact that it is very efficient in water use, something that drip irrigation is well known for. We're going to change gears to go to the livestock production sector, which is a big sector in numerous parts of Africa. I've just returned from Sudan, North Sudan, where they've got in excess of 50 million sheep, 50 million cattle, and we have a lot of technology in the livestock field. South Africa, a country with a deep history in animal production, from animal handling systems, spraying systems, weighing systems, crushers for handling cattle and sheep. That's a neck clamp there in the center, keeping an animal for vaccination or application of medicines. Also for ear tag application, you see the ear tag there, which was part of our trip to Sudan, is to assist them with an animal identification system. It can be a visual one, but it can also be electronic these days, linked to the scale on the right-hand side, enabling you to automatically take weight measurements and record it automatically. Sheep farming and goat farming on the left here is also part of our expertise, and a lot of technology available for extensive and lightly intensive production in feedlot environment of sheep, goats, cattle. Just an example of a labor-saving device that comes from RFID sculpt that I've taken from what you sent to me, just to show you what can be done. 5 operations in one for sheep, vaccinating, providing the ability to easily handle sheep up to the tail nipping right at the end, which the last one didn't take it too lightly. But that's an example of a labor-saving device that is available for animal production. There's a lot more to be said on the subject. Something that is big in Africa and is yet to increase in intensive and ability to contribute to local job creation, revenue generation, is the whole subject of poultry. And some of the innovations that has come from our group on the left is the Kiki Agri Nkoko chicken house, which is a tented structure that provides a controlled environment. Comes also as a business in a box, anything from 20 layers or broilers up to 200 can be accommodated in the tented structure, well insulated at the roof. Comes with all the fittings, the feeders, the drinkers, and with a model to monitor and guide you through the growth and feeding of the poultry, a system that I think is taking on quite well. In the center, some of the feeders, drinkers that's available from Poltech, manufactured in South Africa, automated feeding systems, drinking systems from Plasson in that case. And here on the right-hand side, a very good business opportunity is the SureHatch incubators that can incubate eggs for anyone interested in selling day-old chicks or producing their own. Anything from hatching from 100 to 200 to a couple of thousand and multiples of those. There's some interesting business plans available on that to show you what the profitability can be in the egg incubation business. Poultry processing is a logical extension if you want to add value to your poultry production and get a larger slice of the consumer dollar or rand. From our partners' business opportunities, complete small poultry slaughtering lines. I think the unit starts at about 500 birds per day, can go up to 1,000 and multiples of thousands. It comes with all the basic equipment for hygienic poultry slaughtering and can open up the market not only to retail but to supermarkets and the retail trade that in certain areas is becoming a big market for our farmers. And if you want to get an opportunity, I think value adding to your poultry is a great opportunity to enhance your business. Next up, we are just going to show you a quick snippet from a video in a poultry abattoir provided by Basil, which it seems that this link for some other reason is also not working. But anyway, the video is on our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and you look for Agri for Africa, you'll find that we have a YouTube channel with many of the videos and more that we are alluding to on our channel. I think there's in excess of 50 or 60 videos on the Agri for Africa YouTube channel, so please go and visit. Livestock production, I've just put in something on feed because Africa is struggling because often we are importing feed and therefore we are complaining about competitiveness. We can't compete with the product that is dumped from abroad because we are importing expensive feed, and we have the full ability with technology available in South Africa, from very basic hammer mills, feed mixers, feed mixer wagons, and complete systems to provide the entrepreneur that is wanting to expand his business, produce his own feed, or start a feed production business with all the equipment, from fairly simple small scale equipment to more sophisticated systems. Another very interesting component of feed manufacturing is pelleting, where we have the ability with strong local manufacturing of pelleting presses or molds that produce these feed pellets that can be used for chicken, for aquaculture, for fish, for sheep, and even in some dairy operations they feed the cows pelleted feed, which has got the advantage that all the nutrients are captured. There can be no separation and segregation or selective feeding if you feed the pellet. It's a complete meal in a pellet. I trust that this one is going to work. This is our video on pelleting, but no, alas, it seems that is also not connecting to the video that we've got loaded. I was just going to show you quickly what pelleting looks like when the machine is operating. That machine, incidentally, does about between 300 and 500 kilograms of pellets per hour. It can go up to machines in the range to 1,000 kilograms a ton, which means 8 to 10 tons of pellets per day. Then meat processing, which also a value-adding opportunity. We've got a whole array of locally produced equipment, and that covers the whole spectrum from the cutting, mincing, dicing, bulk cutter there, mixer there, and included in the expertise that we've got available is the ability to design abattoirs, from basic rural abattoirs to very sophisticated abattoirs, being able to slaughter 1,000 plus animals per day. Also value opportunity, as shown there in the center. Supermarkets in Africa increasingly looking for good quality meat, hygienically slaughtered in an accredited facility, and we can do all of that. Grain processing, another area where I'm often saying to people, if you are milling your own grain, you'll most probably double your profit. And we are well known in South Africa for a lot of very good expertise, from hammer mills for grinding of maize and making maize meals, to small-scale roller mills that have been developed. South Africa is well renowned for its small roller mills, starting at 200-300 kilograms per hour. I think that machine is most probably 500 kilograms there in the center, to this containerized mill solution where you have a whole milling factory in a container and anything in between and above. A lot of expertise available there. Let's try this video. It was just going to show you a small milling operation operating in Mozambique. But no, it seems that we are getting stuck on our videos. But anyway, the video again will be on our channel, and it will also be linked in the final presentation. Coming to an end, fruit and vegetable processing, a whole array of technology available, oil pressing there, drying, solar drying. This is another oil press. This is a pulper there, and another dryer, a solar dryer, and related technology to enable Africa to add value to its fruit products specifically. And we think about mangoes, jumps to mind immediately, and the huge wastage that goes on because we do not have the ability to either juice or to dry the mango. And incidentally, there's a huge market internationally, unsatisfied market for mango, dried mango specifically. We also had a video here of a pulper in operation, and again, my apologies for it not working. Milk processing, again, the same. We've got a whole array of equipment available, from basic butter churns and cream separators on the right-hand side of your screen, to yogurt making equipment, milk cooling tanks, and yogurt or milk filling equipment on the left-hand side here. Extrusion technology, a great technology with great manufacturers in South Africa, including CFAM in Potchefstroom, that has jumped to fame with the extruders that has been developed in South Africa. But what makes extrusion very interesting, not only the animal feed application, but the snack application, as you are seeing there depicted, the ability to turn your maize grits into cheese knacks or knickknacks, in which case you will take most probably your profitability of your maize production operation, double it with milling, and if you take the grids and you put it in your extrusion machine, you'd most probably earn 10 times more than you would by just say selling your maize. And there's a ready market, there's a whole array of knacks being produced with these machines, but it's really a growing industry for entrepreneurs with an eye for a great business opportunity. We have a video there, at least this one is working. It shows you an extruder producing puffs. There it comes out, and you will now see the end product that many of you would be familiar with. Great, I think that is about how far we can go. We've not covered a couple of subjects, but I think you can watch the space for future editions of this series, where we will certainly be delving into more details on the technology and the related expertise that is available. Our details on the screen. We can also put our WhatsApp number up on the comments for those interested to contact us. But that is it from my side. Thank you for listening. Jared, thank you very much, and back to you.
Penny, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time and your insight. And we have a couple of great questions that we'll revert back to and address to you after all the presentations. So moving right along, we have Miss Evelyn Musioka, who is the smallholder strategy lead for Africa for Bayer Crop Science, based out of Nairobi, Kenya. Evelyn, welcome. Thank you for your time today. We're excited to have you. I'm going to hand it over to you. So, and again, to everyone, any questions, please just throw them over into the chat section. We are monitoring that, and we'll revert back to those. Evelyn, lovely to have you. Over to you.
Thank you so much. And I will be quickly sharing my screen. Let me know once you're able to see that.
Yep, it's up. Go for it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I believe it's on a presentation mode right now. So I will introduce myself just briefly, because my introduction has already been done. I'm Evelyn Musioka. Again, I'm based out of Nairobi, and really excited to be here just to share a bit of insights, on the opportunities for inclusion within the Bayer value chain. And of course, we know there are a couple of opportunities for agri-SMEs there. We also know that, as an organization, there's plenty of us to do there, out there, given the challenges which as an industry we are facing. So, and to start us off, we really need to agree as a sector that, just like the rest of the world, we are facing the same challenges, the same large-scale challenges, being faced by businesses across. And of course, specifically zeroing into modern agriculture, we know we have to tackle a challenge of a growing population, where we're expecting to have 2.2 billion people by 2050. And of course, the growing population means that we need to secure a sufficient supply of quality food. And also we need to do this and do it sustainably, so that at least we ensure, we are utilizing the resources which we currently have, and utilizing these resources also effectively. And also we need also to understand that within the same context, we also need 50% more feed and, more food and feed required also to feed this growing population. So basically, you know, a very big challenge for the sector, you know, in general. And at the same time, also looking at the pressure within our ecosystems, where we know, again, it's not a question of whether this should be done, but it's also a question that, you know, we must use our resources and use the resources responsibly amidst also the pressure, you know, and think about, you know, the climate change, you know, the harvest losses which are coming in due to prolonged droughts. We are seeing also a lot of flooding, which is happening in the different, you know, segments, geographies, you know, whether in East Africa, Southern Africa, you know, the drought element, which I've been reporting for a couple of years right now. And of course, you know, the decreasing arable land, you know, as the population goes up, you know, there's also need, you know, urbanization and all that. So basically in this environment, we are saying, okay, the challenges will be there, but again, we are also saying this is also an opportunity, you know, for us as businesses and also as agri-SMEs, SMEs. And of course, the question is, how do we tackle this going forward? And just to move on, one of the things and our part of the vision of Bayer right now is Health for All and Hunger for None. And this is where we are saying as an organization, how do we come up and ensure that we are able to really provide innovations and solutions from a pharmaceutical perspective, which is one of our Bayer divisions, from the crop science division, where we are talking about innovations around agriculture, and also looking at the consumer health perspective and saying, how do we ensure that, you know, the world we are living in, we are able to contribute that significantly. And of course, having said that, we know we can't achieve this alone, and we know it won't be easy. But again, this is also a question of, okay, how do we also, you know, get out there and look out for, you know, the same partners within the similar space and ensure that, you know, we are able to contribute currently, and also ensure that the impact we are creating is gonna last and is gonna impact the generations and also the geographies where we work in. And of course, part of that goal, we've also made our sustainability commitments. And from a crop science perspective, one of that commitment is to empower smallholder farmers to access sustainable agricultural solutions. And the commitment here is by 2030, we need to reach 100 million smallholder farmers, ensure that, you know, they're able to increase their productivity, they are able to increase their profitability, you know, and part of it is actually changing the whole image of agriculture, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, and ensure that also we are driving innovations within our markets, whereby we can also accelerate that productivity and also profitability in our markets. And of course, our core goal is just to make sure that these initiatives are running across specifically in the low-medium income countries. And of course, having said that, the question is, why should we zero in a smallholder farmers, especially in Africa? And here is where we see not just opportunities, but we know that 80% of the entire food production is coming from smallholder farmers. You know, we know that is part of our ecosystem. We know that smallholder farmers are contributing big time. We know that employment, we know that over 60% of employment is coming from agriculture, whether directly or indirectly in sub-Saharan Africa. And here it's a question of then, how do we go ahead and unlock that potential of the smallholder farmers across the region, so that to ensure that, you know, we can also create effective and resilient food system where we can produce enough fast for ourselves and also take advantage of the markets which are available within our scope. Of course, we know that there is also a lot of reliance on imports within our markets. And the question is also, how do we benefit out of this value chain, you know? And we've seen this working in some countries, where we see an example in Kenya. When you think about the floriculture, flower industry, we've seen mega imports and I mean mega exports coming from the flower sector, of course, being led by farmers in the large scale segment. But again, of course, the fact that this is happening and also ensuring that, Kenya is being counted as part of the countries where exports of flowers are being mentioned, it tells you that we still have the potential, and some of these innovations, technologies, and opportunities can equally be extended to our smallholder farmers. Then moving on, like I mentioned, we know that we cannot do this alone. And this is where we are saying, what are the opportunities, out there which can drive, these initiatives. And part of what we're saying is, for us to be able to unlock these opportunities and to turn the challenges which we are seeing in agriculture into opportunities, we need to collaborate, and we need to create platforms where, as agri-SMEs, we need to come in together and just ensure that we are creating an ecosystem where there is possible partnerships and collaboration for us to be able to accelerate productivity. And of course, for us to be able to do that, again, most important is to think around how do we overcome, production challenges, production barriers, so that also we can take advantage of these opportunities which are available within our scope. And looking at our environment, we've also identified a couple of areas where we see potential opportunities for collaboration. And also, these are unlocking opportunities also for, for providing solution amidst the challenges which we are seeing in the agriculture sector. And part of it is the channel where we are saying, okay, we have agri-SMEs who are coming in as agro-dealers. How can we bring in opportunities within the channel where we are talking about agro-dealers, retailers out there, to create those opportunities? And we know this is so key because we want our technologies to get to the millions of farmers outside there. We know that our geographics are quite dynamic, and we know that the farmer base we are dealing with is quite dynamic as well. And the challenges are there, including the challenges of infrastructure, and also cultural affiliations, where, our farmers tend to use more of the traditional means of production. And of course, some of them are not sure about the new technologies which we are talking about. Then this is where we see an opportunity for us to really drive that last mile activation, where we look at the collaboration out there with agro-dealers. How do we get, innovations coming from, organization, research and development companies getting to the to the farmer? So we are looking at that last mile activation. We're looking at the training. We've seen already in countries where agro-dealers play a very critical role in ensuring that new technologies and innovations are going to farmers. We've seen agro-dealers, for example, organizing mega field days just to demonstrate these technologies to the farmers. And this is already, we know there's a challenge of adopting new technology. But again, we see these an opportunity where we can collaborate and just accelerate that. And by doing that, we are helping our smallholder farmers first to produce better, then secondly, to be more competitive and ensure that also we are unlocking the opportunities to increase their productivity again and profitability. And of course, there is also the importance of just ensuring that we need also to accelerate this conversation so that at least we can get, farmers at the same level, with probably the medium scale growers, progressive farmers, the large scale farmers. We know it will take time. But again, we are saying, what are those technologies out there where we can partner to get these technologies to the smallholder farmers, at least to unlock already the opportunities which we currently see, in as much as they are growing in very small parcels of land. Then secondly, we're looking at the market linkages. And this is where we are saying, for us to be able to play in the global value chain, we need to think about quality. You know, we need to ensure that the kind of produce which is being produced by our farmers, it's good enough to get into the international market. We need to think about post-harvest handling. We need to think, you know, through other elements, you know, around ensuring also the farmers are getting the right quality inputs. We know our markets, we have a challenge, for example, of counterfeits. Most of the time, farmers will end up with counterfeits. They don't realize at the end of the day, even whatever they're using, it's a counterfeit. And this is now the opportunity for us to say, how do we empower, how do we create opportunities within this space so that at least we can accelerate those communications and also take advantage of, you know, the opportunities which we have in our scope. And of course, we can't do this without also looking at the regulatory, the policy environment, just to ensure that, you know, there's a policy framework which also opens door for us also in terms of marketing opportunities, which also include, you know, ensuring that, you know, there are also cross-border movements within the geographies where we are focusing on. We know another challenge within our market ecosystem is also access to finance. We know affordability, it's a very big challenge within our markets. But again, also we are saying, how then do we look out there and see who are the relevant partners? How do we collaborate? You know, banks, and you know, even right now we are seeing digital platforms coming into as, you know, in the frontier of being one of the biggest lenders, depending on the market which we are looking at. And again, the question is, how do we ensure our smallholder farmers who are not currently banked are able to access credit, and also ensure that by accessing credit, then they're able also to get new innovations, and they're able to invest in better technologies for them to be able to compete effectively within our markets. And of course, that cannot happen without also a lot of training, a lot of education, which cuts across, you know, the agricultural, you know, value chains, where we are saying, how do we train farmers on opportunities which are out there, including opportunities for value add? How do we get, you know, the younger population coming into the agriculture landscape, you know, where we are saying, you know, agriculture can be attractive. It can be, you know, a source of livelihood. It can actually provide good opportunities for the youth to be employed. And of course, also it unlocks the opportunities, and especially when we think about the opportunities for the women within the Africa sector. We know they're equally involved in the agriculture, but how do we probably think about opportunities of training, creating entrepreneurial space for women to be a very critical, to play their critical role, you know, in the whole of the agricultural value chain. So we see opportunity, we see challenges, but at the same time, we see opportunities where we can really expand our scope and be part of the solutions which we bring within the ecosystem. And just zeroing in again is just to give an example from the Bayer perspective of how we are partnering again with SMEs in some geographies. And this is through the better life farming, you know, concept, where we are saying, how do we create a holistic ecosystem whereby, you know, a farmer can access inputs and at the same time eventually, you know, get the training, get irrigation, you know, get a whole package of solution, and eventually at the end of the day be 100% sure that they will have a market, a very market at the end of the day, so that at least they can make profits from their farming engagement. So this is one of the examples which we're working around, where we've included, you know, agropreneurs creating, you know, better life centers, where we have entrepreneurs coming in, opening these centers, you know, those centers, you know, being used by farmers to access credit. Some of these centers also being used, you know, to access new innovation. And of course, also farmers being able to access finance, again, using the same platforms as well. So again, we are saying for us to be able to do this again, even within the better life farming, we are involving different stakeholders. We cannot do this alone. We see a lot of opportunities for agri-SMEs there, whether you're talking about value add, from a market access perspective, whether you're talking, spray service providers, where we are saying, how do we create opportunities even to, to train farmers on how to safely handle probably pesticide and all that. Again, we are seeing opportunities around the irrigation ecosystem, technicians coming in on board and just making agriculture, attractive again at the end of the day, and also creating a lasting and also effective ecosystem to ensure that we can propel that going forward. And last but not least, the other key area where we are seeing is as an opportunity for collaboration is, looking at how our markets, especially in Africa, are shifting. We know, the mobile penetration is, quite good in most of our geographies. It may not be the smartphones, but we are saying using, for example, the feature phones. How do we use these digital platforms, the digital environment which we are currently in, to really take advantage and also accelerate conversation within our markets? How do we use the digital platforms? How do we partner with the upcoming, new entities, SMEs who are coming up, from a digital platform? How do we take advantage of these new technologies which are coming in for us to be able to drive, new ways of doing things? Because we know the market is shifting, the environment is shifting. A good example, it's in Kenya. 10 years, we didn't have much of the mobile monies. Right now, it's just the reality every day. You can pay your bills wherever you are. You can use everything. Your mobile simply is your bank. So again, how do we take advantage of such a platform and convert that as an opportunity for us to really drive solution within the agricultural ecosystem? So we see also this as an opportunity, and also we are thinking of how do we then get people out there, startups coming on board for us to be able to partner and start delivering tailored solution to our smallholder farmers. And we've seen a couple of very good examples in our markets. We've seen applications which have come up whereby, farmers are quite actively engaged, and we are saying, yeah, the space is big, we are there. We're seeing transformations happening in this sector. And the question is, how do we keep moving, and how do we keep taking advantage of these new opportunities to make sure that we can also interact with our smallholder farmers across. And so having said that, I think the takeouts here is, the opportunities are there in as much as we are working in a very challenging and dynamic sector, but at the same time, we see opportunities of collaboration. We see opportunities of making it better. And the only way forward, as we get the pressure on climate change, we get the pressure on an increasing population. At the end of the day, everybody is looking at the farmer to be able to feed the big population. And we really appreciate our smallholder farmers and the farmers across the continent, because they are doing a tremendous job. And it's also our opportunity just to ensure that we can give them the best of the technologies and ensure that we can shape the landscape of agriculture in Africa together. Thank you so much.
Evelyn, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. That was really insightful. We have a couple of questions coming your way after our last panelist, so we'll come back around to you. But thank you for your time. That was really insightful. We'll be moving over to our third panelist for the day, Ms. Margaret Asakenya. Margaret is currently the head of agriculture at Absa Bank, Uganda. So Margaret, thank you so much for joining us today. We really look forward to your presentation. So I'm going to hand it over to you. And again, just for all the folks who have joined, please feel free to drop some messages, questions, comments into the chat box. And we'll be sure to circle back to those in the Q&A session right after Margaret. So Margaret, welcome. We appreciate your time today and we look forward to your words. Over to you.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, moderator, for those warm welcoming earlier remarks. Once again, I'm Margaret Asekenye. I work with Absa Bank Uganda as head of agriculture. And in my key role as the head of agriculture, I do support agribusinesses across the Ugandan market to access financing. Absa Bank is part of the Absa Group, one of the African largest diversified financial services listed on Johannesburg Exchange. In Uganda, Absa Bank has 39 branches and we do have 76 ATMs across the country. Absa is committed to finding local solutions to local challenges, and everything we do is focused on bringing possibilities to life. Our key point of discussion today and what I'm going to present to you is a smallholder supply chain and how to make the food chain sustainable. African population is predominantly rural, with about 54% of our population engaged in agriculture. Farmers largely cultivate on small fragmented pieces of land, hence making it smallholder farmers. A smallholder farmer accounts for bulk of the food production in Africa, and their key role is very, very important in supporting the livelihoods in Africa, and most especially Uganda. In Uganda, the smallholder farmer is considered as the least earner. This is evidenced by the source of household income and poverty published by the Ugandan National Household Survey. Based on the statistics that you're seeing on the screen, crop farming constitutes about 29.8%. So from the income earning, our smallholder farmers are taking the largest percentage. So because of that fact, poverty can be associated with subsistence farming. And this is also further evidenced by the activity status and poverty data that was published by the Ugandan National Household Survey. What does that imply? For the payments that are associated with agriculture, the casual workers in agriculture constitute about 34.8%. Given that, why is poverty high among the smallholder farmers? Some of the reasons that I picked across is one is the exploitation by the middlemen. For example, the farm price of matoke is approximately $1 at the farm gate. That is what the farmer is costing. But by the time that matoke, for those across the globe, matoke is related to banana markets. It's a very stable, common food in Uganda. By the time it reaches the city, which is Kampala, the same matoke that was costing $1 is being sold at $4. So the middleman ends up taking the biggest benefit, which is about $3, and that is exploiting the smallholder farmer. It's also largely nature dependent, hence high volatility to climatic shocks, and this accounts for higher poverty incidences. Input supply and constraint, which undermines the quality and quantity and the quantity of yield that the smallholder farmers are able to provide. Land poverty and land insecurity, which undermines the extent of commercialized farming in Uganda. The foreseen challenges definitely pose a risk for the smallholder farmers to be able to produce or sustain the food value chain. This is, as I earlier mentioned, to the challenges that because the middlemen survive, mainly because of the lack of scope and quite often absence of aggregator and cooperative model. Because the middlemen are taking advantage of the smallholder farmers. If we had aggregators in place, for example, these aggregators then work with the smallholder farmers. The smallholder farmers deliver their crops to the aggregators, whose aggregators are collectively able to negotiate a good offer in terms of pricing for the farmer. But what is very common in the market is that the aggregators are very few, and that has been left for the middlemen to survive on. In the same spirit, cooperatives need to be rebuilt in order to strengthen the support that the smallholder farmer gets. Also, dependence on nature on account of absence of agriculture production to the extent that there is no economy of scale in the supply of agriculture inputs. For example, irrigation facilities, extension services, and also fertilizer applications that are crop and animal specific. If we have a large-scale operation whereby we are using the aggregator model to be able to negotiate irrigation facilities or get extension services to a registered number of farmers, maybe 3,000 farmers, then we'll then be able to see that big impact in the food value chain that is being produced by the smallholder farmers. In the same spirit, a lack of input supply constraint, for example, fertilizer partly accounts for the poor quality and the inconsistency in terms of supply. I spoke about the land insecurity, where we're having overlapping rights and absence of a well-developed market. With those challenges in place, how then can we be able to sustain food production? Just to share with you that bit of a slide presentation is that for us to be able how then can a smallholder farmer enhance the food production? And for this to happen, one, we have the government who provides the regulation, whereby how does the government come in to support us? The government will put regulations for the financial institutions, partly where financial institution, in this case, I will speak about APSA where I work. The government will still give us regulations for the aggregators in terms of ensuring that the zoning is in place, in terms of ensuring that we have agreed prices to be paid to the smallholder farmers. In terms of the input, how does government come into support to just have a check on the kind of quality inputs that are being put out in the market? That government support is very fundamental in ensuring that we support the agriculture sector. In addition to that, what the government of Uganda has done with the partnership of, with the spirit of enhancing agricultural development, the government of Uganda put up an agricultural credit facility in place. This is governed by the central bank, but APSA Bank did register as a participating institution. And what does this facility come in to do is that we are able to avail farmers competitive rates, and this is 12% in local currency, which is way almost 50% of what is in the market, to support our farmers. And how does this model work? Because a smallholder farmer is mainly categorized of those who are dealing with 2 acres across the country. So the most efficient model from the financing perspective is to provide financial solutions or provide financing to the aggregators and cooperatives. With that support, once we avail financing to the aggregators and cooperatives, they are then able to buy in bulk agro inputs. They are able to negotiate better pricing for the farmer. They are able to negotiate better or discounted agro inputs that are affordable in the market. And those aggregators will then distribute these agro inputs to the smallholder farmers. In the same spirit, we do a deal with the input suppliers as well, whereby we're able to give different financing solutions to them to be able to reach out to the smallholder farmers. However, in the smallholder farmer category, there are those who are medium-sized, whom we can directly deal with and still be able to give financing solutions. What is APSA Bank's role in ensuring sustainable food value chain? So our role is we do offer a wide range of services in the agricultural segment. I just listed some of the things that we do as a bank. We do farm improvement. If an agriculture client is looking for financing to buy irrigation schemes, to buy agro inputs, to do land opening and fencing, that as a bank we're able to finance. And as I say, that we're able to give that at a competitive rate of about 12%. We do finance agro-processing machinery across the entire value chain, right from the farm level to the aggregator model. You're looking at some of the storage facilities like the silos, the drying systems, and also post-harvest handling. If you're going into value addition, we do finance that entire value chain from the banking perspective. Farm machinery, post-harvest, farm input, those are all the different products that we able to finance across the country. And already in my opening remarks, I did mention the number of branches that we have across the country. So we definitely work with our colleagues across the country, and wherever the farmer is, we're able to reach out to them to provide the financing solutions that they're looking for. In addition to that, just to have my concluding remarks is that Uganda's agriculture sector is entirely based on smallholder farmers. Excuse me. In order to achieve a sustainable food value chain, better pay for our smallholder farmers, and to create a positive impact to the environment, it is critical to work closely with the smallholder farmers to embrace new agriculture inputs, for example, fertilizer and technology. Also provide financing solutions through the aggregator and cooperative model, and also directly to the smallholder farmers who have the muscle, especially those who are in the medium and the large scale. We definitely are able to finance those solutions to them. So together, we can sustain Uganda's food and supply security if we work together, and definitely work very close to the smallholder farmers. Thank you very much.
Margaret, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. That was really insightful. Thank you for your time, and thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate that. We want to just go ahead and jump over to some Q&A session, some questions. We are going to just go through the list. Henny, I have a couple of questions for you. So we'll jump into them. We have a question from Joel Kakir. If you could please go ahead and answer. And Henny, thanks for the good work and technology advancement. Question number 1. Do you have partners and distributors in East Africa, specifically in Uganda? And a follow-on question to that, how friendly are the costs to smallholder farmers?
Thank you, Jared. Thank you for that question. Because we represent within the IDC Africa group more than 60 companies, some of these invariably having their own networks already in place in Africa. It's not a straightforward answer. Some companies are represented in Uganda. Amongst others, LM Engineering is one of the companies that we are working with. We have had dealings with Operational Wealth Creation. But the short answer is that we are the facilitator, the coordinator on behalf of the group, and we would be very happy to put you in contact with any of the specific opportunities or companies that we have spoken about. We like to get involved in the facilitation because often the answer is not a simple solution, not a single product solution. And it requires, in many cases, more than one company or expert to get involved. But yeah, the answer is we are interested to expand. We are in contact with some companies, but if you have specific products or product lines or companies in mind, we'll be very happy to engage. As for the price situation, I think we have sent a reply where we are saying we are not as friendly as the Chinese, neither do we want to be as friendly as the Chinese, But South African technology is manufactured, equipment is manufactured in South Africa, in Africa, and it's certainly very competitively priced if you look at what you are getting in terms of quality. I think we vouch for the quality of the equipment. We vouch for the fact that the equipment is robust and will last under the African sun in African conditions, which is not always the case for equipment from the first world environment. So yes, I think the rand is possibly, depending on whom you're speaking to, is one of the assets that we've got. The rand is not as strong as it was or could be, according to some people, and it is also benefiting the price that we can offer. But yes, on that question, I think we can compete very effectively with most of the suppliers from the international market.
Henny, thank you. And at Joel, just if you have any follow-ups to that, we can definitely facilitate just connecting you with Henny. Joel is an AFAP representative in Uganda and does some great work for us down there, so I'm sure he'll be in touch. Henny, another question for you from Konani, wanting to know if equipment is available commercially in most countries, and where and how can they go about locating your equipment? What would be the best process and guidance that you can give folks in getting their hands on your equipment?
Thank you for that question, Konani. Yes, as I've said in my previous question, it's not a straightforward answer. Depends on what you are looking for. And we will be quite happy to engage to provide you with details of local representation. If not, we would certainly be keen to connect any of the partners. Because the companies we're working with within the IDC Africa Group are by nature interested in expanding their market in Africa by virtue of the fact that they've joined the group means that they are interested to expand. So some are already well represented and many others are not. And we've got a lot of companies looking for new opportunities. So knowing that, Jared, on your side, the AFAP side, you have a strong involvement with the agro-dealer networks, I think it's one of the very specific opportunities why we are very interested to expand our involvement with AFAP, because we believe we can strengthen many of these agro dealers by providing them access to new opportunities, to new equipment lines that can complement what they are currently doing. And I think the fertilizer application technology is sort of very straightforward why there are opportunities in that field. But well beyond that, we appreciate that the agro dealers are running businesses, often limited by the scale and the size of the market that they are servicing. So by expanding the product offering gives you an opportunity to increase the turnover and the revenue stream in your business. So yes, we're very keen. I think we see, and it's been something that have been discussed previously with Sandra and others within AFAP, is the fact that we are very keen to engage and very open for partnerships, not only to provide the hardware, the technology, but the underlying expertise, because often you need projects to be put together, and it's not a straightforward thing. An abattoir you do not buy from with expertise to design the abattoir, and we have that expertise. I've mentioned that we have expertise to put together business plans. Often people want to raise finance, as Margaret would most probably testify from Zambia, but do not have a proper plan to present to the financiers to convince them why they should be lending the money. So, and often case the technical expertise underlying is a problem. And we can provide that type of support. We can provide assistance with the development of feasibility studies, business plans, to the satisfaction of the financiers.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. We'll be sure to leverage a platform to share this information and make sure we are leveraging the answers to some of the questions where folks can get in touch with you directly. There's a question from Portia, just asking if you were based in SA. I believe you are in Stellenbosch, but if you just want to elaborate on locations or where you folks are located, Henny?
Yeah, we're based in Stellenbosch, just outside Cape Town. The details will be in the presentation, and I think Dylan has also shared the WhatsApp number. But because of the nature of the network, we have a footprint across Africa through the various partners that we're working with. And as just alluded, we've got a network covering quite a bit of the African market directly and indirectly.
Fantastic, thank you. Thank you, Henny. I think that's it that we have for you at this time. Over to Evelyn, I have a couple of questions for you. Starting off from Esau, we have a question. How African youth and gender sensitive, inclusive are these technology solutions that you covered today? And then second question following up on that, what are the key drivers and enablers to adoption and use of the technology solutions in Africa?
Yeah, so let me start with the first question on the gender inclusion. And of course, yeah, we believe that for this sector, or basically for us to be able to get the full benefits of the overall agriculture sector, of course, gender is a key important subject which we need to look at. We know specifically, if I might speak on the role of women in our communities, we understand the significant, role of women in the agricultural landscape. And also, having said that, we actually know that already women, for example, in this case, from a gender perspective, are quite involved in the agriculture value chain. And the question is, how do we proactively, manage programs, or probably think around solutions which will create more visibility and just ensure that we have, a full inclusion, of, gender sensitive solution within, the whole of sector. And I think also that goes to the youth, because in some countries we see a lot of aging population in agriculture, but we are saying, how do we make this more attractive? And of course, for making it attractive, the first thing we need to do is just show that there is a possibility of opportunities, just like any other sector. And we actually need to change the entire, again, image of the whole agriculture sector, because one of the things we know is that we have so many people within the different geographies in Africa who've been brought up in the rural areas, including myself. And of course, all that is the practice of agriculture, which was never profitable and which was actually associated with a lot of hard work. But when you come in and interact and actually see the value in the agriculture sector, especially where innovation comes in, and look at very successful, agricultural business, then you look back and say, what is it that we can do different, just for the upcoming generation, and also just ensure that we are creating those opportunities, for women, for youth to just get involved and make sure that, we can accelerate the benefits we see in the sector. But having said that, again, we know this is a strong sector. It's very important sector, but again, we just need to think about ways of making it more attractive for the youth, and also look at opportunities to make sure that women are included. And from a buyer perspective, we can say that, especially from a gender perspective, this is something which we are very keen on. We think about inclusive programs for women. We look at opportunities to see how do we create, agripreneur opportunities for women. That's why we have, for example, some of the engagements we have right now with opportunities like the Better Life Farming model. And we believe that, women are very critical part to this. The other question, can you repeat that? Probably just to make sure that I get it correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. What are the key drivers or enablers to adoption and use of the technology solutions in Africa that you covered today?
Yes, so part of the key enablers which we are looking at, number one, we believe in partnerships. So we know for any technology to get out there, because again, we know we cannot reach every farmer. And also we know that given our geographic landscape, we are talking about really expansive areas where we really need to engage our farmers. And this is where we see the opportunity for value chain partnerships. Whether we are talking about, as a key enabler, whether we are talking about a partnership, we've just heard about what ABSA is saying. If we have ABSA coming in from a finance perspective, we've also heard about aggregators coming in from a marketing perspective, where we're ensuring that our farmers are able to produce and get access to markets. If we're looking at people who are coming in from an agronomic advisory service, knowledge transfer, to really help connect with the farmers and get farmers to understand the different technologies and innovation and scaling up what they are currently working on. And of course, also just thinking beyond the scope and saying, even if we are having this partnership and the farmer doesn't get the right product, then how do we just ensure this conversation goes on? So we are looking at our partnerships as one of the very strong key enablers. We're looking at across the board, whether we are talking about agro-dealers, we are talking about entrepreneurs, we are talking about community-based organizations, we see these, whether we are talking about even larger, financing institutions, we see opportunities as, partnership is a very, very strong key enabler just to make sure that this keeps ongoing. We're also looking at also the digital platforms as also a very strong key enabler, because we are saying, can you imagine if you can, start having conversation with a farmer and you're able to provide the solution for a farmer wherever they are at any time they want to reach you. So we're seeing the digital platforms opening opportunities for us, and we see digital platforms as a very key enabler. I know there's also a question of around, most of the farmers don't have smartphones, but we are asking ourselves, what is it that we can do, for example, using a feature phone? Can we create probably USSDs, platforms where a farmer can engage us, can talk back to us, and we can also engage the farmer? Can we look at SMS platform? Can we look at, opportunities where a farmer can actually identify whether the product they're using is a counterfeit or not? So we see these digital platforms as key enablers, and we see them as a tool to empower the farmer to even get more efficient and produce better going forward. Thank you. I hope that answers it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Evelyn. For Margaret, we have a few questions over for you. I have a question from Ricky Jesse. How does land insecurity lead to poverty amongst smallholder farmers? And is that they fail to cultivate the land they own because it's not legally theirs?
Thank you for that question. Is that how does, in terms of security, is that most of our smallholder farmers do not own the land. So, and because of that, they are cultivating on very small acreages, and we cannot be able to have them do commercialized farming. So the land insecurity is mainly because of ownership, and also in terms of regulation. They are mainly using customary land for cultivating, and that is a very is a key challenge in that segment. Thank you. I hope that answers the question.
Fantastic. Thank you, Margaret. A few more follow-up questions here from Joel. Can you please give more light on the rate of 12% that you had mentioned? Is it for SMEs or individual farmers?
All right, thank you. So as I earlier mentioned, agriculture is a key segment in Uganda. It's a key sector for our economy, and through the government support, government of Uganda came in to specifically support the agriculture sector by ensuring that he works with financial institutions to provide affordable rates. So what is happening is that we have partnered with the government of Uganda under the Agricultural Credit Facility Scheme. This scheme is administered by the central bank, but in the partnership, what the scheme does is that it allows us lend money to the ultimate beneficiary. And when we talk about the ultimate beneficiary, is that we're talking about individual players across the entire value chain. That includes our small scale holder farmer, who are the individuals in that area, which includes aggregators, processors, agro inputs. So the 12% that I spoke about cuts across all individuals, and to our smallholder farmers, that is even our more focus. That is where government wants to see more active support going into the smallholder farmers, to a tune that financial institutions are allowed to lend up to a tune of 20 million shillings to an individual smallholder farmer. So that money can either be accessed through the aggregator model. You come in as a registered group of farmers under the cooperative, or through your aggregators, or for those that can meet the lending criteria, especially for the large-scale smallholder farmers, can be lent to directly. So the reason why we can also lend a bulk under the aggregator model is because most of our farmers or smallholder farmers may not have the financing information that you're looking for, and the data. But if you're moving from just an individual to aggregator model, then they are in a better position to be assessed and given funding. But that hence does not limit the smallholder farmer from accessing funding. Thank you.
Fantastic, thank you, Margaret. And then just one last follow-up question onto that for you, Margaret, from Mirembe. What do you require from the farmers for them to be able to access the 12% loan?
Yeah, for the farmer to be able to access this money, all the farmer has to do is to go to any of the ABSA bank branches across the country. We have about 39 branches. They will only go with their application letter asking for the agriculture facility. There are a few loan requirements, like their financials that would be requiring. But for the smallholder farmers, all we need is their production history, how they have been, and we'll link it to the aggregator to be able to support them. But all they need to do is to walk to the bank branch, and we'll definitely be able to support them with the application. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margaret. Evelyn, Margaret, Henny, thank you guys and ladies. We really appreciate your time today. It was really insightful, and for all the questions. We are going to hand it over to Jason Scarpone, CEO of AFAP, for some closing remarks. Over to you, Jason.
Hi, Jared. Unfortunately, Jason has gotten disconnected. There's technical difficulties. If you don't mind proceeding with some closing remarks. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Unfortunately, Jason is not able to join us. I saw he was on earlier, but technical difficulties. I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. It was a really insightful and interactive presentation from the three panelists. To everyone who joined, thank you for your time. If there are any follow-up questions, comments, or you want to continue the dialogue, please feel free to get in touch with us or get in touch with the panelists directly. All the information will be shared. Please continue to follow us on social media and Twitter for any further updates. And then please keep your eye out on some further webinars which will be hosted in the coming weeks. To everyone, thank you. Until next time, we look forward to seeing from you all again. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.